Hi everybody, thank you so much for joining us. We're just going to wait just a little moment just to allow people to join the room with us, so just bear with us just a moment. Wonderful. Firstly, just to say thanks so much for so many of you joining today, and for joining our session today with Jack Bullen. So today we'll be providing a walkthrough of our 2023 open call application process and also having an informal Q&A. We're delighted to be currently running our International Artist Open Call, and just a reminder that the deadline for applications is the 29th of May 2023, so the last week to get your applications in. So it gives me great delight to introduce you to Jack Bullen, who's leading this session. He's director of Woolwich Contemporary Print Fair, which he founded alongside Lizzie Glendinning. Just for housekeeping, just to say, if you have any questions at all through the session, please just pop them in the Q&A box and we'll get to them as we go along. I'll hand over to Jack now. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Olivia. That's very kind of you. As Olivia's just said, we're going to do a quick run through of the application process, so you can see how easy it is. Hopefully we'll address questions as we go along. It's all relatively straightforward, and then as Olivia said at the end, if there's anything that I haven't addressed as we go through, we'll deal with those then. So if I just share the screen with you now. Excellent. So nice and simple. This is the starting page, and what you have here is just an introduction. Just to make things clear, if you do have any questions at a later date, there are two emails to send your questions to. If they are technical, as in you cannot get this the process to work, something's not loading properly, email WCPF support@tagsmart.com. If it is to do with like an artistic query, like is this particular medium accepted, etc., that is to info@woolwichprintfair.com. So we have a save, all pretty simple on here. You can copy the link and come back to it. So this allows you to then get halfway through the application, and then come back to it later. So it will save at the point that you click save here. So very quickly and simply, let's go email address. So I will make this as quick as possible. So have you applied to Woolwich Contemporary Print Fair before? The reason we do this is so that we can upload your, find your information and try and speed the process up for you. If you have applied before and have previously been unsuccessful, we issue a discount that's automatically applied. So you would say here, for instance, I'm going to say no, but in this situation, you'd put your email down, and it should automatically find that email previously, and then you put in the time you last applied. If our system cannot find your email address, then you're able to we will research that for you and apply the discount as a refund later on. So I'm going to say no. So very simply, so this is just the name you use all the time. It doesn't have to be your exact your exact name if you're called by a middle name or something like that, but just this is how you'd like us to address you in emails if you're successful. If you'd like to have your name attributed in a different way, you can put this down here. In this case, I'm not going to bother. So let's go. This is all quite straightforward. So yeah, that's all straightforward. Now it's important here to check the box if you're a VAT, because this will come into force later. As obviously when you begin your pricing, things will change there. I'm going to go through. So let's go. Oh yeah, so important, take the 0 off at the beginning. This is obviously so if we're contacting you, we need more than just your email. So here we are, artistic statement. So we have an example statement here, and you can find that just by clicking this link. It gives you it gives you the example of the statement and how we think you should write your artistic statement. This is obviously up to you how you do it, but we sort of give you the parameters of how we think that works best for you there. So I'm getting a question quickly about VAT. The VAT is for UK only, not the VAT in your own country. So if I'm going back to the artist statement, let me just copy and paste my pre-prepared artist statement here. And then you've got a tagline. The tagline is pretty much the first line of your artistic statement. Anyway, so this is just so how people can see. Ideally, we want the artistic statement to between between 200 to 300 words, which I hope answers that question we've just had. This is just to see, this here is just how to understand how artists make their work, but also how we can best get in contact with people in the future. It's always interesting to see if people are actually working at home or in a shared studio. So here you can either put in a commercial or shared studio. Just put your name and put the name of that in here. In this case, I'm going to say I'm making mine in a private studio. Right, so this this page goes through all the essential information that we're going through here, how to list your works, etc., which we're going to go through here. So I'm going to skip through this process quickly. So hopefully you'll all read that and click carefully read all of the above. So artwork title, I'm just going to put test. Date. Now, just as an example, artwork title, we haven't made this essential, because if lots of people don't have a title specifically, they can just leave that and we will automatically list it as untitled, but it allows us to process in which order, so untitled 1, untitled 2, untitled 3, depending on how you do it. This is the point in which you can then add a collaborator. So this can be for an individual work, or it could be so you could apply with your first piece as the sole creator, and then the second work that you submit, you can add a co-curator, so it can all be included under the your banner, your application. So collaborator's name, let's say Olivia, kindly help with this. Let's say that is And we need this information here because if accepted, if this work is then accepted, we then will have the artist, your collaborator, as an artist in their own right as well, so we can then get in touch with them in that basis. I'm getting quite a lot of questions at the moment, which I think I'll address later if that's okay. The only thing is somebody's asking if you click home studio, if you work at a workshop, then that's fine just to say home studio. It's not essential. It's just to help us manage how we contact people as we go along. So just going to the date. Here obviously helps us know when you've done it, but it really doesn't matter when you've done it. These can, we like to see works as recent as possible. But if it's works that you'd like to submit that are 10 years old, that's no problem with us. So discipline, theme, and color. So obviously the discipline is important. That's how we label your work. So in this case, we might say it's an etching, aquatint, and then we've also used sort of Shinkale within that. So that allows us to label your work correctly. The next section here, lead colors, theme, style, etc., is solely for our own use, but it does help us. It does help us categorize your work for clients to see what they're looking for, make suggestions, and it generally helps with that. Certainly online. So we could say here it's a black and white piece, and so therefore monotone, and it is an abstract, geometric, and let's say symbolic. What we could put here is, if we wanted, if you think there's not something that we've written in here, you can then add that in here. So let's put if I can, my dyslexia doesn't ruin that one. Then in here we're putting the dimensions. Now, to be clear, this is the dimensions of the paper size, not the plate size. So let's say 40 centimeters by 50 centimeters. Depth you do not need to do on this. This is a sculptural piece. So so in this case we'll leave that empty. Let me just check if there's any questions about this as we go along. So you can either put the work is unique. So therefore it's a monoprint, and therefore nothing else happens. You would click this box to continue. For this moment, we're going to go to an edition. So the edition size is the total number of works that need to be printed. This is not how many works you have available. This is the edition size. So if it is 1 of 30 or 1 of 25. And as it says in the thing, excluding artist proofs. So let's say 30. Now, if you're applying to the fair, you can set a number of works that you would like us to make for sale on your behalf. So this could be the full 30, or it could be 10, it could be 1. It's totally up to you in this case. So I say that. But then once you've applied and if you are accepted, that's what you're committing to the fair. Once you've done that, check the box to confirm. So then we have framing. So there are 3 options here. What will happen is we require everyone to have their work framed unless specifically, unless the work is designed to be unframed specifically. So it's not the case that you don't want to get your work framed because of the expense. It has to be down to how the work is designed. So this could be mounted onto a backing board that has the ability to hang up on the wall, but it has to arrive to us with the means to hang it. As it's an addition, so you have an option of one framed work for the wall, and then the others are then sold unframed unless specifically requested by the client. If it's, say, work that all works are designed to be sold framed only, then you can click this, or then unframed only, as I said, as long as it's down to an artistic reason why you want it unframed. In this case, I'll say this. Let me just keep checking those notes. I'm just going to have a quick look. Regarding the addition, I might do some more prints after the submission deadline. Is it possible to update this number at moment of selection of the exhibition? The addition as a whole should be decided before you apply. Whether you want to print more out at a later date, that's fine, but as long as it's within that number. So you don't have to print it out 30, the entire edition before you apply to the fair, but it would have to be the edition size. It is important to stay at that. So I hope I've answered that question. Some of my work is paper mounted onto board or canvas, so not under glass. Is that acceptable? Yes, that is acceptable. And then, yes, sorry, following on about the works being available for the edition size. Yes, you can change the number of works that you make available to Woolwich after application, but it would have to be an increase rather than a decrease. And yes, you can submit framed work for the submission. But for the sake of this example, we're just going with framed and unframed. So we offer, to try and keep costs down for us supplying, we offer Woolwich Contemporary framing. So this is a basic framing service that allows artists to send their work to our framing factory, and we give you an upfront quote, and so hopefully you get really good framing at an extremely competitive price. So we're doing our best to try and make it as affordable for artists who get in. So basically, this gives you a rough idea of what our service would cost based on the sizing that you provided. If you're successful, then there will be another form to fill in, but this gives you a rough guide of what you would like, how you would like to, if you'd like to go ahead, and the price it would be. So in this case, I would say I would like to use Woolwich Contemporary framing. Just having a, sorry, I've got questions popping up. So I think I've answered the charge to do Woolwich Contemporary framing, the question around that. So as I say, this is the quote that we've based on the size. This is the basic option. You, if you are successful, you will get in. So you'll get a further form that will allow you to choose colours of the colour of the frame, whether you want to use art glass, how you want to have it mounted, etc., which obviously will potentially increase or decrease the price. But this is our rough estimate at this point. So carrying on the pricing. So here, this is the price that you expect clients to pay. So this is not what you would like to take home. This is what this is what you want your work to be priced at on the label. So, for example, we will say £200 here. And then the framed label price is important to understand that we do not take any commission on framing. So the price of the frame should remain the same. So if we're taking for this as an example, it's that plus 111, so it'd be 311.2. Again, here you check to confirm the above. This then gives you your estimated what you would return, what you would get as your cut after the commission that Woolwich Connected Print Fair takes. Which I hope is clear. So this is only in the case of an unframed price. Obviously, you'll then, if you sold the work framed, you would get this price plus then the cost of the frame back. Just answering a few questions here. Sorry for the pause. Going back to Woolwich Contemporary framing, we do deliver the framed works to the fair free of charge. So that's included. So once you've sent it to our framing service, we'll deliver that to the fair, so you don't have to worry about anything after that point. And again, if you tick yes or choose, or initially in your application choose not to use Woolwich Contemporary framing, you can make a change at a later date in either direction. And then finally, somebody's asking about submitting a printed installation as 9 separate framed sections that fit together. This can be submitted under one single piece, as long as the piece is being sold as one piece. If it's being sold separately, then you would have to make a separate application for each one. But I think by the sounds of it, that would be covered under one application. So finally, we're almost at the end. You have an opportunity. So just click to upload the image. In terms of the image, can we ensure that it's as high quality as possible? It's really important for your sake more than anyone that the judges are seeing the work in its best format. So blurred images, work that's been photographed behind glass that's showing a glare is really difficult. So please ensure that it's of the highest quality and the best representation of your work. So you click and drag that in, that will upload automatically, which I'm going to have to try and work something out. So let's go there. And then we've got brief notes. So this is your opportunity to cover anything that we may not have, that may not be there on the application. So this could be whether the work is in progress. And yes, we do accept works that are in progress. Obviously, it does need to be as close a representation as possible to what the judges are seeing. We don't want works that are accepted looking like something and then receiving works that are totally different. But this might give you an opportunity to say, for instance, I think we had a lot of artists last year, the work was a light box, so did need, in terms of hanging instructions, did need to be near a plug, etc., etc. Sorry, I'm looking just through some applications, some questions. Can you submit a large floor installation? Yes, that sounds very exciting. I'd love to see that. That you would submit as a 3-dimensional piece. As I said earlier, when we put the dimensions in, there's a third box that you can fill in. In terms of the image, it doesn't need to be framed when submitting the image. In fact, best case for us is actually just to see the work unframed, and the image itself. We don't need to see it mounted or anything like that. I'm just going to quickly finish this, and then I'm going to come and go through the individual questions as we go along. I hope that's okay. So here I can put anything that I like that you would find helpful, and then otherwise there's no need to put anything otherwise. Now this is the moment which we're not going to go through, but you're asked, do you want to enter another work? So if you want to, press yes, and it's repeating that process, the page we've just done. But in this case, we're going to say no. So this is very simple. It just helps us understand how we've reached you, etc., etc. So let's just say gallery referral. Again, this is demographics. Now this is just to help understand if we are reaching, giving everyone a fair opportunity. You do not have to, this is not taken into account at all in the judging process. So you can click prefer not to say the entire way through, but it does let us know which demographics we are reaching, so that we can help reach ones that we wouldn't otherwise. So let's say prefer not to say for this moment here. And then here it's confirm your application. Have a look at our terms and conditions. I'm not going to go into them here because it's mostly legal jargon, but do check that out. Tick the box. Now we do offer a student discount. Or discounts are available. So we do this just to keep a check on the applications. But if you are a student, it's a £5 discount on your first piece, on your first work. So put your college, university, and course in there, and then click next. But in this case, I'm not going to. So here we go. So £30 next, and then you can fill out all the payment systems. As I said, if you, as it says here, if you're having any difficulties, technical difficulties, please get in touch with TagSmart, as they'll be able to help you extremely quickly. If you're wanting to get in touch with about a sort of a question that is to do with like whether this type of work would be accepted or not, then that is to info@woolwichprintfair.com. Right, I'm going to stop sharing this screen, and then I'll deal with the questions we have now. I hope that was helpful. Right. So just going through the questions one by one. I've got here, can you enter an installation as one of your entries? Yes, you can. That would just be entered as a 3D work. So the only difference would be that you just put in the depth of the piece. So I've now got here a question. What if you want to submit for the installation award and also individual artworks? So the installation award hasn't been launched yet. If you apply with your individual works through this open call, you'll get a discount on the installation award. So that will be done later, and that can automatically be applied using your email. Sorry if I haven't addressed this earlier, but if I have a title in a foreign language, should I also translate it into English? Is there a maximum length for the title? So no, there's no need to translate it into English. But if you feel that that helps for people to see, understand, engage with the work, then feel free to translate it. But there's no need to. specifically. And no, we don't have a maximum length for the title, but please be aware that the labels on the wall are relatively small. So if you have a gigantic title, we won't be able to print the whole thing. So just be aware when doing that. A variable addition. So someone's asking about variable additions. So when you apply, that's the moment that you can put in the notes. As I said earlier, it's a variable addition. So just apply as if it was a full addition as per normal, and then in the notes add in that it's a variable addition. Can you enter works that were previously unsuccessful in applications in the past? Yes. Each year we have a different judging panel, and as we all know with art, it's entirely subjective. So we have. So I do encourage you, if you were previously unsuccessful with a particular artwork, it's nothing to do with that artwork. It can be to do with the fact that the judges were individually looking at something different. Had different tastes than they do this year, which is why we constantly repeat vary the panel each year. And then it's also down to a limited space physically. On the same theme, can you enter a work that was entered successfully in previous years? I would say yes, that is fine, but we wouldn't necessarily encourage it. And so got a question on framing here. Where do we have to send the artwork for framing to? And also what influence do you as an artist have on the choice of mount, frame, etc.? So you send it directly to the framers. It's on the full address is on our website under Woolwich Contemporary Framing. You have, as I say, it is a basic service, but you do have the ability to choose whether it's a single mount, a double mount, or whether it's float mounted. You have choices on the glass, so whether it's art glass or standard, and then you have three different options. So we have a black, white, and sort of wood effect as your three different variations, and then within that you also have sizes as well, so the thickness of the frame. In terms of the mount color, we as standard just try and match that to the paper, although you can there's a note section in there that you can request a certain color. So if I select your framing and the buyer chooses not to buy it unframed, and I've already bought the frame, what happens to the frame? Yes, so in the case, so I think the question is what would happen to the work if it was unframed, if it was sold unframed, but you've paid for the framing. I'm afraid in this case, we can help you ship the work back with our art logistics, who are our international shipping partners. It would in that case. It would be up to you whether you want to discard the frame, whether you want to bring the frame back and then have it for other works. Yeah, I hope that answers that one. In terms of photographing the work, I'm being asked here whether you need to show a white border around the image or just the plate detail. I would suggest just the plate detail to give you so that the judges can see as much of a close-up of the work as possible. If you're successful, you have the opportunity to upload other images. So that would be my advice there. I think I'm going to get, how can I get a voucher code? I think if you email us, we do have a hardship fund, which is reserved for exceptional circumstances. So you could email info@woolwichprintfair.com and let us know your circumstances. We do have a limited fund of applications for our hardship fund. So that's judged on a sort of case-by-case basis. Got a question here about VAT. Anyone that is based in the UK and has so VAT is to do with whether I think you meet a sales threshold. So you then therefore have to register. So if you are making more than I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's about £75,000 a year. If that is the case, you have to register as a business for VAT. So you, by the sounds of this question, you wouldn't have to pay VAT unless you are VAT registered. Again, someone's talking about, so it says here, some of my works are finished with a Chinese watercolor wash. Would this be permitted as an original print? Yes, it would. It's original print that you've hand finished. That's fine. You could add that into the notes. And we'd probably refer to it as a varied edition. So I'm getting a question about how many pieces of art will be accepted in this open call, given space limitations. So I think it does vary because it's to do with space. You know, I mean, I think last year on average we have about 500 artworks are accepted. Obviously, it does depend whether it could be more, depends on if the average artwork is much smaller or if it's gigantic, then there may be less, but it's roughly about 500 works. How do judges view submissions? Is it anonymously? So each judge is given given their own login portal, and it's split down into categories. So they will go through various categories one by one, however they choose to. So say for instance, they might do screen prints all at once, they might do etchings all at once, or they can pick a entirely randomized order. To make it as fair as possible, we don't order the works by surname. So each judge is given a completely randomized viewing. So somebody might start off, and it's their first application they look at is begun with the surname might begin with a B. The same judge would look at that section. It might start with a Z or a Q or an R. So it's totally randomized. You do have the name of the artist. They do see the name of the artist, but it's basically you see a large image of the work, and they're given a choice of sort of 5 options to rate the artwork. Once all the judges have done that individually, that's sort of effective score. You know, each artwork is given a score based on how the judges have done that, and that is all pulled together. So of the 10 judges, there'll be like an average score that artwork will have scored, and that's how it's judged from. So the top, however many 100 pieces are then successful or not. Which I hope gives you an understanding why it's often not difficult to offer feedback on individual cases, but we have spent now the open course been running for 6 years, and we've been developing this year on year. So we do make slight tweaks to try and make it as fair as possible as we go through. I'm getting a question on collection points around the country. Yes, there are collection points around the UK. You can find that if you go onto our Open Call website. There's a section on drop-off points, but we have location points in Belfast, Glasgow, Newcastle, Manchester, Leicester, Cornwall, Exeter, Bristol, and Cambridge. So and then also London. So there we should hopefully have there should be points around the country. Can a work be entered not for sale? Yes, that's completely acceptable if you wish. Will the framers deliver the work to the gallery at the designated times? Yes. So if you take out Woolwich Contemporary Framing offer, you can send that directly to Woolwich Contemporary Framing. We will frame it, and then we will deliver it down to the fair free of charge. I think I've answered this earlier, but I'll go over it again. But in terms of photographing the artworks, should we show the full size of the print paper or a close-up of the printed image? I would just do a close-up of the image because you have the ability to later, if you are successful, to add more images in later. So do that because it gives you the best chance. You know, obviously all works are being judged on laptops and computers. So, you know, the closer you can get to the actual image, I think the better. Can you upload only one image per artwork? Yes, only one image, I'm afraid. Otherwise, it just gets the actual process for judging it takes too much time. So, are unframed prints stored at the fair? If so, do they need to be packaged in a specific way when they're delivered? So we ask that you deliver to the fair one framed piece and then one unframed piece for the browsers. So this unframed piece we would like to be wrapped in cellophane and with a hard back behind. Anything, if you were to sell more unframed works, we will deal with you directly and let you know where to send the works. You would send it to us, and then we would then send it on to the client for you. What is the proportion of open call to galleries representation at the fair? 40-60. Yeah, so to the fair, it's 50-50 split. So we dedicate 50% of the fair to artists and 50% of the fair to galleries. So yeah, that's really important to us because we see it as a platform for individual artists to help grow their career. And so that link is really important with the galleries, but we keep it as much as possible as we can 50-50. Going back to another question about VAT. Yes, in terms of you only have to pay VAT if as a I mean I have to admit I'm not a accountant, but your day job I don't believe is relevant to your art income, but I would check with an accountant. Can installations include other elements, for example, drawing, collage, video, etc.? Yes, so that's totally fine. I think what we like to see is artists who are pushing the boundaries of the medium, but that doesn't mean that they have to be just print itself. So it can be it can involve any range of other materials. That's fine. If there has been a printing process used in the artwork somehow, and this is for artworks on the wall as well as installations, then that is accepted, and I would say encouraged. So I'm trying to still get through these. So I'm getting a question about framing. So just trying. So I'm getting a question about the sizing on the frame. So I hope this answers the question. You said here, your print is A1, and if you put that as the dimension, doesn't matter if the frame is much bigger. What we tend to do is add a couple of centimeters around the size of the frame, and that's automatically worked into the cost. So I think there's a 5 centimeter border around what you would what you've listed as your dimensions. Obviously, if there's a massive difference when it gets to the framers, we'd probably contact you just to check that everything's okay. So what is our definition of original print? And how I define original print is that it's designed to be in its initial concept, it was intended to be a print. So it's not a reproduction of you've not made anything and then thought that looks really good and let's reproduce that painting. Let's photograph that and just reproduce that. It's when you've set out to make the work, you've set it out to be in addition a print, or you've used the print process in that. So whether that is an etching, whether that's a woodblock, whether that is digital print, a photograph, 3D printed works. If the printing process has gone on, that's fine, but it has to be intended to be that in its original format. I hope that answers that one. Question here about magnets. So no, we don't accept works that are hung directly onto the wall with magnets. The work needs to be able to be transported basically from the fair, and for the client to be able to put it up on their wall as is. So so if you were to hang the work, it would have to be mounted on a board. If you want to have it unframed, it would have to be mounted onto a board that is designed to then be hung on the wall. Does everyone enter just 1 or 2 prints, or does everyone enter the maximum of 6? Or do you have to enter 6? Everything is done all judging is done on a piece-by-piece basis. So if you want to submit just 1, that's fine. If you want to submit 6, that's great too. But it's not judged as a whole. It's judged on a piece-by-piece basis. So you may submit 1 and get 1 in. You may submit 1 and not get any in. But you may submit 6 and get 3 in. It's totally dependent. When stating the dimensions of the work, does one state the paper or the plate size? It's the paper size, please, because it helps us for the framing. Otherwise, there's issues when we get to the framing size. Also, when in terms of curating works, we have to do in advance. Can you submit archival prints? Yes, you can. Will a print on fabric rather than paper be accepted? Yes, it does not matter what the material is. Even the technique does not matter whether you choose to put in a digital piece or a woodblock or a lino. If it's an original print, then it's accepted. Do you require mirror plates, or can they be on string? So we prefer them to be on string. If they are gargantuan prints, I think it will then come down to whether you think that a single screw and a on string is going to hold that up. So it will depend on size, but yes, we prefer string. Is it best to submit works from a similar collection style, or because it's judged work by work, does it matter if I pick works from different collections? I think when I'm looking through, I like to see works that are from a particular group or style, ideally. But as you say, it is judged piece by piece, so it doesn't necessarily give you an advantage or disadvantage. But I personally prefer to see works that are grouped together. I think I've answered all the remaining questions. There is a recording of this, so you will be which we will put up very shortly on the open call page. So you should be able to see this there.
Thanks so much, Jack. It's been brilliant. We've had so many questions. I think we've answered almost 50 questions. So it's been a real fire of questions. And thank you so much to everyone for joining us today. I hope it's been helpful.
I think, Olivia, we've got one here.
Okay.
If the judges are viewing piece by piece, how does this work for submitting a series of 3 prints? So that would either be if the work is together as a 3, you'd have, please put this in your notes if it's intended to be a piece that's together, or if it's going to be sold as, say, a triptych, you'd put that in as just 1 application, not 3 applications. But yeah, as I say, it is a piece by piece basis. So unless you've particularly made it clear in the process that they need to be shown together, then it would be down to you may not get them all in together, so you'd have to put that down in the notes. I think we're all good. Sorry, can the judges see all the works that you've submitted, or is it anonymous? So I think they are grouped together. So as an artist, your works will come together, but the order that your works are seen will be randomized. Yeah, I think that answers that question. There we go. Thank you.
Amazing. I feel like it will just keep going on and on and on, and you'll be here till midnight with everyone asking questions. I must say, if you have any more questions, either DM us on Instagram or email us at info@Woolwich Print Fair. Thank you so much for joining us. We really hope that you'll be submitting to our International Artist Open Call. And if you want any more tips, either directors tips or panelist tips on what they're looking for when they're reviewing the applications, visit our website and find them there. Thank you so much. We'll be in touch soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.